Hello everybody, I'm here today for another TF2 commentary playing as the Pyro. Today I'll be using the flamethrower, the flare gun and the postage pummeler, I think it's called. Something along those lines. Anyway, as usual, I will not be here today to talk about TF2. I'm here today to talk about what in my opinion is the reason why I don't have that many subscribers and why most YouTubers don't have many subscribers, and that's purely, I think it's because of mediocrity. I think the main problem, getting straight into it, I think the main problem that people have is they don't come up with enough viable content. You could argue that, you know, the entire thing is oversaturated, but that's, in my opinion, is a false argument, because true, it is oversaturated, but you could make so much different content if you really work at it. And I feel like people will watch different content regardless. I'd say if you did really work at it, I'd say you could eventually make it, but it would take a long time, and it wouldn't feel worth it, and you wouldn't have enough subscribers. Because, in fairness, people have already seen, if you're a Let's Player, for example, people have already seen the same thing you've done 50 times over. So honestly, maybe it's because you're just the same as all the rest of them. What you should be trying to do is try and differentiate yourself from everyone else. You should be trying to show off your differences rather than just show off your similarities. You shouldn't be trying to compare yourself to Star, as myself, if I'm a TF2 YouTuber, or like as any other popular Let's Players like Jesse Cox or any of those. You can't really compare yourself to them, or you will drop, because they will compare you to them and they will just watch them over you 9 times out of 10. It's just the way it works. Now, I'm not saying you can't like give mentions to your favorite YouTubers and give homages to them and, you know, talk about how great they are. That's great, but you can't just straight up copy the way they are. If you do, it doesn't work out for you. But then on the other end, if you're very mediocre, if you're not bad, but you're very average, like your mic is average, your video is average, like a 720p, but it's not exactly great, and your video ideas aren't the best, people aren't going to watch you. In fact, it's actually, in my opinion, it's more painful to watch an average person than an actual person who's amazing. Because, not a person who's amazing, than an actual person who's terrible. Because the terrible person, at least they have something that's different, but the average person is just trying their best to change, but it's just not working out for them. And it's just, I like to think of YouTube as an ecosystem. We're almost like seaweed, where all the plankton and the seaweed thrive on the top of the sea if they can float on the top and they get the most sun, the most space, the most energy. But in this case, if you were to jump off the metaphor, you'd say the most likes, the most subscribers, the most views. Well, the thing is that you're never good. People sink to the bottom and people sink to the top. People rise to the top. And so the problem with this is it's becoming rarer and rarer for people to rise to the top, and it's becoming more and more frequent for people to sink to the bottom. Now eventually, there'll be more on like there is now, there's going to be a lot more on the bottom than on the top. I'd say about 90% are not doing as great as the other 10% are doing. And that's because they refuse to try and change. Because change is a very important thing, as I've mentioned before in many of my videos. Change is important. And I am not saying that I am the god of all YouTubers. I'm not saying that I'm amazing. My 10 subscribers say otherwise. I'm just saying I am trying to make different content. I'm trying to differentiate myself from as many different YouTubers as possible. You could argue that these rants are slightly similar to the stuff Jerma does, but I think Jerma's ones are completely different to mine. That's what I'd argue. But I think through these rants, I try and get stuff. I try and make different content. Like I try to take out tutorials that other people wouldn't take out. I try and like be as different as I can, but obviously I'm failing with 10 subscribers. And see, the problem is with all this mediocrity is that people eventually give up. They eventually stop trying, and they blame the fact that everyone is just overcrowding it. And honestly, maybe you should take a better look at yourself. Maybe you should check back on how you, as a YouTuber, are. The content you make, how frequently you upload, how different you are, how funny you are, or informative, if you want to be informative. You have to take all these into account. You can't just blame how overcrowded the YouTube community is, because I'm agreeing it is very, very overcrowded. I'm just saying maybe it isn't entirely that. Like, if you are average, it's just people won't want to watch you. They'll click away immediately. You'll say something dumb, you'll say something stupid, it'll happen, and then people will just click away, and you probably won't see them again. They're not going to click back and go, oh, maybe this guy was good. First 3 seconds matter a lot in these type of things. And I'm not saying you should just like throw something in the very first 3 seconds at them, but I'm just saying you should try and differentiate yourself as much as possible from these other informative and other funny YouTubers, because if you don't, you will be crushed. People will just click over to the other people who are like that, as in, for example, if you're trying to be like Total Biscuit, well then they're just going to click over to Total Biscuit and you've lost that viewer. And that's in my opinion is the biggest reason why people don't make it in YouTube, because people, they're either incredibly average or they try to be like a YouTuber that already exists. This was the point I was just trying to lead up to. These are the main 2 reasons why people don't get popular on YouTube. Because people often compare. People always, if they hear you say a joke similar to someone else, or you upload content with the same name, or you work off someone else's idea, you will get raged at for it. People will blame you for it, and even worse yet, they might ignore your content and go over to theirs. Anyway, this probably made no sense, and it was probably a dumb rant to talk about. I was just trying to make the point that people... Anyway, the point I'm trying to make with all this is that try and make yourself a bit different if you are a YouTuber and you're watching this. Try and make other content that other people haven't made. Try and make new ideas. And if you're still not getting new YouTubers, if you're still not getting new subs, then fair enough, I understand. Maybe it is an oversaturated media, and maybe you should just maybe you should give up. Anyway, I'll see you again next time. If you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe. If you didn't like this rambling mess, which I wouldn't blame you, then don't. Bye.